This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. After quitting my job in the medical pathology department, I went to work at a detective agency doing testing. I was responsible for finding little seeds of life on women's panties, providing evidence for big bosses to catch their spouses in the act. This job paid well, was low on tasks, and I got to watch all the drama unfold. Until one day, an old client brought in a fresh sample, a peach-colored lace panty with the English abbreviation H embroidered in the lower right corner. It was identical to the one I gave my fiancée yesterday. When I saw the color of the sample, I was a bit surprised. It was very close to my taste. But when I saw the embroidered letter on the lace, my mind went blank, blood froze, and I broke out in a cold sweat. H, the abbreviation for Haley, a custom design. The odds of running into the same panties were smaller than being struck by lightning twice in one day. This morning, my fiancée had teased me with a smile. Such a tease, sending me panties. I hugged her from behind and whispered in her ear, "It's just for fun, babe. Do you like it? How will you reward me?" She laughed, pushed me away, and ran to the other side to put on a skirt. "Panties, no one will see them as long as you like it." Then she shyly whispered, "I'll reward you tonight." I had been looking forward to a great evening, eagerly working through the day. Little did I know someone had already removed them and handed them to me. I stood there stunned, my mind a blank slate. My buddy Peter nudged me. "Why are you spacing out the clients waiting?" I snapped back to reality, clinging to a sliver of hope. "What should I check for?" "What do you think?" "Check for sperm, and also check for any spermicide, lubricant, hyaluronic acid, silicone, etc. in case they wore a condom." I suppressed my erratic heartbeat, mechanically placing the sample under the pathology microscope. Fighting the urge to rush out and beat up the adulterer, I casually asked, "Which unlucky guy got cheated on by his wife?" "Not this time. It's someone else's wife." He smirked lecherously. "Tony loves to mess with married women, and he even requires them not to sleep with their husbands. Weird how rich people chase this kind of thrill. We have a new target now. Check if the other party is clean, obedient, and if she's not obedient. If she's not, just send her off. If she is, they'll play together for a while. Does she have an STD? What does she see in him?" Peter gave a sly grin. "Money, my foolish brother." Under the pathology microscope, besides the usual female secretions, the sample was spotless. No sperm, no traces of a condom. I felt a lump in my throat, suffocating from the suppressed emotions. Finding nothing didn't bring relief. I kept thinking about how Haley had been rejecting me lately with various excuses. I kept wondering if I was too old-fashioned, too dull, and didn't understand the concept of fun. That's why I got her the custom-made panties, but I never expected she was saving herself for someone else, and I was just a part of their game. I handed the test report to Peter, my hand still shaking as I held the microscope. He looked at the report and sneered. "Great, another man with a green hat." My already disoriented mind was hit with another crushing blow. Haley cheated on me. I was the one with the green hat. I rubbed my face hard, my remaining sanity quickly calculating. I couldn't act impulsively. Beating that guy wouldn't help. Haley hadn't yet had an actual relationship with him. How things would turn out was still uncertain. I needed to think things through. I finally made up my mind and went to the client's office next door. Through the door gap, I saw the client's appearance, around 40, dressed like a successful businessman. But his face was hard to look at, especially his hair. It was thinner than my armpit hair. How could Haley like him? I was a little confused. When he saw the report, the man nodded in satisfaction. Peter, ever the sycophant, handed him a cigarette. "Tony, this one's good." The man opposite him squinted and took a puff of the cigarette. "Very obedient. Not married yet, fresh." Peter eagerly placed the ashtray in front of him. "Tony, with your conditions, you can choose any virgin you want." The man gave Peter a mysterious sideways glance. "You don't get it. Sleeping with a girl is risky. After a few days, she wants you to divorce and marry her. It's easier with someone in a stable relationship. Just give them something good, save costs." After saying that, the two of them laughed loudly. It was so disgusting, I suddenly lost the urge to rush in and punch him. Beating him would only dirty my hands. When he left, I made sure to note his license plate number, 678TP. That night when I got home from work, Haley was already back. As soon as I entered, she walked over to me, eagerly taking my bag. "Busy at the hospital today?" I nodded, exhausted, collapsing on the couch. Normally I'd fake being tired, but today I was truly drained. I watched Haley moving between the kitchen and the dining table, suddenly feeling a sense of unease. Is this really my future wife? She cheated on me. That can't be right. We've been in a relationship for 7 years, and our feelings have always been good. We're about to get married. She works regular hours with no suspicious gaps. She's gentle and virtuous. Everyone praises me for finding such a great woman. Where did things go wrong? I kept thinking as I walked over and hugged her from behind, slipping my hand into her lounge pants. She jumped as if pricked by by a needle looking at me with suspicion. My heart sank. I crossed my arms and leaned against the dining table, deciding to confront her directly. "You were wearing the panties I gave you this morning, weren't you? Why did you change?" Her eyes flashed with panic and confusion, clearly trying to think of an excuse. "I saw you bend over earlier and noticed you switched to white ones." She awkwardly ran a hand through her hair. "Oh, I spilled coffee on my skirt earlier and stained it." I went along with her excuse. "Oh, can it be washed off? It wouldn't come out, so I threw it away." "You're not upset, are you? I didn't mean to." I smiled and shook my head. "Of course not, it's just a pair of panties." That night before bed, she smelled fresh and came over. "Hubby, your reward is here." I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. She wasn't giving up, reaching out to touch me. I moved away, trying to suppress my disgust, mumbling, "I'm tired, let's sleep quickly." I pretended well, not even moving my eyelashes, but inside, I was a storm of emotions struggling to calm down. After Haley fell asleep, I took her phone. I checked her social media accounts, but found no clues. Having worked in a consulting company for a while, I wasn't surprised. Women cheat just as much as men, but because they are more thoughtful, they hide it well. Plus, with their excellent acting skills, it's usually only when they want a divorce that they deliberately leak information, and that's when the other party notices. At work, I often saw poor men frozen in place, unable to process the reports they received. I watched them with either sympathy or mockery, never imagining that today I would be the one facing the consequences. Deleting chat records wasn't a challenge for me. I directly logged into her WeChat on my computer, backed up all her chat history and billing details to my computer under migration and backup. I also logged her WeChat onto my iPad. Then I pulled up the shortcut settings on Haley's phone. I set it to send her location via text to my phone whenever she opened WeChat. I disabled the ask before running feature. Now every time she opened WeChat, I would receive her real-time location. Having completed all of this, I was exhausted and collapsed into the swivel chair in the study. I spent the entire night going through Haley's chat records without closing my eyes. These two had been involved for quite a while. At first, they exchanged flirtatious messages. Then they started the big brother, little sister routine, getting closer. Looking at the transaction records, I saw that during this period, the affair partner had sent Haley a total of 780,000 renminbi in red envelopes. There were probably more gifts. Suddenly, I remembered how Haley had been changing her clothes and bags frequently. I had asked her about it once. She looked displeased. "Is it wrong for me to buy clothes with my own money?" I quickly came up with a response to salvage the situation. Buy. I'm not saying you're buying too much, I'm just worried it's not enough. If there's anything else you want, I'll pay for it." With a laugh, the matter was brushed off. I had never once thought about her cheating. Clearly, money had worked its magic, and their relationship had moved forward rapidly. Just earlier, while Haley was in the shower, she sent him a semi-nude photo, accompanied by a flirtatious message. "Darling, did I pass the test? I've listened to you, not getting intimate with my husband, just waiting for my brother to take care of me." His reply was, "I won't let you wait in vain, baby. I'll have you tomorrow." Not only that, I also discovered that Haley wasn't a first-time cheater. In her chat history with her younger brother, he was asking her for money, and she replied, "I haven't handled it yet, wait a bit longer." "Sis, are you serious? It's all your fault for insisting on dating that Song Si-Yuan. What's he making? Nothing but a fixed salary. Why don't you just dump him and find someone better? You're too beautiful to waste. You don't get it. A doctor has a stable job and high social status. The older they get, the more valued they are. I've done enough for you now. You can step up and give me a bit of relief. Let me live a few good days. Doesn't your sister need a good life? She spent all the money she made before. Just let a bit leak through to help your brother. Be careful with your mouth. Don't let Song Si-Yuan hear. You don't have to worry, he's too clueless to notice." I slammed the laptop shut, sickened and unable to continue reading. This was a side of Haley I had never seen before. I suddenly realized I had never truly understood this woman. Haley and I met in college, and our relationship was pure. We never considered any practical issues. We only thought about how we'd live happily ever after. When I was in my second year of grad school, I was almost certain I would stay at the affiliated hospital's pathology department. But then something happened in Haley's family. Her father fell from scaffolding on a construction site, breaking his spine. Despite all efforts to save him, he was left paralyzed from the waist down and could never stand again. It was then that I learned about Haley's family situation. Her mother was a full-time housewife. Her father was a worker, and she had a lazy younger brother. No wonder she always avoided talking about family matters. At the age when most girls care about their looks, she dressed simply, because all her earnings went to support her family. Now with her father bedridden, Haley cried and broke up with me. "I love you so much, but I can't drag you down." At the time, I was heartbroken. I knew most people would wait weigh the pros and cons, and walk away. But as a medical student, I had seen many sudden illnesses and fragile emotions. I deeply understood that life is unpredictable and no one can guarantee that life will always go smoothly. Maybe one day I too would face misfortune. If that happened, I would want the person I love to stay by my side, never leave, and cherish me forever. So after graduation, I gave up the opportunity to pursue a PhD and joined Peters Brothers Consulting Company. This company was the designated outsourcing partner for a top detective agency. We specialized in conducting biological tests for women suspected of infidelity. In other words, we searched for sperm. Actually, sperm testing can be done with a test strip or by a nurse with basic microscope skills. But since I came from a professional background and loved to research, I was able to perform a detailed cytological analysis of sperm, precisely calculating when it was produced, with an error margin of no more than 2 hours. This was impressive, as long as the client provided a sample within 72 hours, even if it was just a cotton swab with sperm. I could tell them exactly when their wife had cheated. This technology provided vital evidence for catching cheaters. Thanks to this skill, Peters Brothers Company gained a strong reputation in the industry, and business was booming. Of course, I was well compensated. In 3 years, I saved up enough for a down payment on a house. But this job went against my initial goal of studying medicine. I always thought that if I earned a bit more, I could give Haley a better life, and then I'd quit for good. I never told Haley about this, though, because I didn't want her to feel guilty or burdened. So she always thought I was working at a private hospital. Now it seemed that I had been a fool, hopelessly in love with an illusion. The phone buzzed with a notification. The address was Haley's company. I suddenly felt short of breath, my mind racing with chaotic thoughts. There were dangerous thoughts. Go. Track her down, catch them in the act. Strangle these 2 dogs. Find someone to beat them up, make them unable to take care of themselves. Post their disgrace online, ruin their reputation. Make everyone who sees them call them shameless. And there were rational thoughts. Don't be impulsive. Hitting someone or posting private photos is illegal. Getting into legal trouble over a woman like this is not worth it. Just break up with her. Stay away from a trashy woman. It's the best redemption for yourself. What's she even worth? There's still our parents who love us. Don't act rashly. If you need to vent, do it without breaking the law. The whole morning I was distracted. A battle between the bad me and the good me was raging inside. By 12 o'clock, I couldn't take it anymore. From the data I had gathered over the past 3 years, most affairs happened during lunchtime. Suddenly, I felt a weight on my shoulder. My heart skipped a beat. Peter's loud voice came through. "Hey, what are you doing sneaking around watching a movie behind my back? Let's go eat." I was about to refuse. Ding. The phone went off. Real-time location sent. I stared at those few words for a long time, still in shock. Hilton Hotel. The other shoe had dropped after waiting all night. What excuse could there be now? I tightly closed my eyes, dug my fingers into my hair, and took a moment to calm down. Both the bad me and the good me were exhausted. I had to vent this pent-up frustration. I turned to Peter. "Bro, I've got something to do. Will you help me?" I briefly told Peter, though it was hard to say. I stammered, but he understood. He took a deep drag on his cigarette, looking loyal. "Damn, helping my brother out. Do you even know what I do?" With Peter's help, I got the information I needed about Tony. Tony, 41 years old, married, works in a property company. His wife is an only child from Jiangsu. Zhejiang and Shanghai, 3 years older than him, holds all the financial power. Tony had always been unfaithful but careful about it. To the outside world, he's a perfect husband and father, but extremely scared of his wife. Now that I had his name, I drove to the Hilton Hotel. In the underground parking lot, I found Tony's car, 678 TP. It looked like Haley's date was with Tony. I rushed to the front desk and gave them Tony's name, pretending to be his assistant, wanting to extend his booking. The front desk checked the room number 1230. They also told me that Mr. Tony had already booked the room for a month and would like to extend it. I smirked. Having a fixed room number saved me a lot of trouble. I sat down in the hotel lobby. I called Haley via WeChat voice message. She never rejects my calls, but this time she didn't answer. She was probably busy now. I immediately shared my real-time location with her. Back when we were dating, we often shared our locations with each other. If she accepted, she'd see that I was downstairs in the hotel. I really wanted to see her expression. Of course, she missed my last opportunity. When I got home that evening, Haley was already back, but her face was not looking good as expected. Besides my interference, I had set 3 alarms on her phone, each one ringing every 10 minutes. Even on silent, it still went off. The feeling of being repeatedly interrupted with a looming decision is unbearable. She slouched on the sofa, clearly annoyed. What did you want from me? At noon I had meetings and couldn't take your call. She was clearly lying. I sat across from her, staring directly at her. Oh, I was just around your company for a consultation. I thought I'd surprise you. By the way, is your office 428 foot? Her face visibly faltered. You went to my company. Yeah, but didn't see you. Where were you working, my dear? I suddenly realized women are natural actresses. When they want to lie to you, they weave their stories seamlessly. She went on about how she was working late at the office, about how she was stressed, and how she regretted missing my surprise. I quietly listened and then dropped the bomb. How many times did the alarms go off on your phone? Maybe your phone's broken. I'll buy you a new one tomorrow, dear. She leaned over and gave me a kiss on the cheek. You're so sweet, hubby. She went to take a shower but didn't see me using an alcohol wipe to nearly scrape off my own skin. I couldn't help it. I have a cleanliness obsession. She left her clothes outside the shower. I took a sterile cotton swab and collected a sample from her underwear. Told her I had to go back to the hospital, then turned around and went back to the office. Haley had endometriosis and wore an IUD, so I guess they weren't using protection. Sure enough, I found sperm in the sample, though most of it was dead. I froze the sample in liquid nitrogen. Might still be useful later. Afterward, I went to the mall and bought Haley a new phone, setting it up the way Peter showed me. In case I needed to, I could remotely control her phone. I gave Haley the new phone and she was surprised, her eyes wide. I've always wanted one, but it's so expensive. I smiled. Oh, I won this in a raffle at the mall. Got a little bear. Isn't it cute? She dramatically covered her mouth. It's so cute. This color goes well with your bag. Want to hang it there? Sure. She stopped smiling and her eyes became flirtatious. Hubby, I'll reward you tonight. I thought to myself, oh no. Does she have an addiction? Clearly, she didn't get enough at lunch. I quickly feigned a regretful expression. But what about my paper? You can write it after the reward. After the reward, I'll just want to sleep. Be good, don't tempt me. She pouted, looking unsatisfied, and angrily turned toward the bedroom. The bear had a camera inside, a professional spy device provided by Peter. But since Haley hung it on her bag, the angle of the shots was always different. Sometimes it faced the bed, capturing a complete adult movie. Other times it was aimed at the wall with sound but no picture. Once it clearly captured Tony turning his back and swallowing a blue pill. Peter didn't understand why I went through all this trouble. Isn't this too much work? Just bring a group and catch them in the act. I laughed at him for thinking things so simply. Catching them in the act doesn't help. It's just a doggy-at-dog scene, then a breakup. But I wasted 7 years on a trashy woman. I wasn't going to settle for that. I wanted more. Based on my observations, Haley and Tony's meetings were very regular, every Tuesday and Thursday during lunch break, and always at the Hilton near Haley's company. They picked this time because every Tuesday Tony's wife Serena went to her parents' house, and on Thursdays Serena met up with a few close friends. A gathering of girlfriends was the perfect time for me to catch them in the act. I had saved the voice messages where Tony criticized his wife in bed. For example, I've had no feelings for that old woman for ages. She's 3 years older than me, no matter how she dresses. She's just an old cucumber painted green. Baby, I wish I could be with you every day. When I lie next to that old woman, I'm thinking of you. Going home and giving her what she wants feels like punishment. Poor little brother, you've got to show me some love. She said she'll retire at 50 and the company's going to give me control. Once that happens, I'll kick her out. Ugh, I can't divorce her. How could I divorce you? If you stare at me like that, I'd lose my soul. So on a sunny Thursday afternoon, I timed everything perfectly. I sent the hotel address and the edited voice clips to Tony's wife. Any wife who heard that would be furious. Please don't disappoint me. After sending it, I sat with Peter in a tea house across from the Hilton and waited quietly. It took Serena about half an hour to get here from her gathering. I called the hotel front desk to confirm that Tony had ordered 2 business lunches. I made sure to specify that the orange juice in the meal should be swapped for fresh grapefruit juice, no ice. The front desk confirmed. With everything set, I sat back calm and collected, ready to watch the show. Peter didn't get it. What's your plan here? You'll know soon enough. Exactly on time, Serena stormed into the Hilton, accompanied by 7 or 8 women. I turned on the camera and the angle was perfect, right on the bed. I watched as Tony had just finished showering, wrapped in a towel. Haley was already ready, gazing at him with affection. They were still a bit behind schedule. Then came a loud knock on the door. Tony, visibly irritated, yelled, "Who the hell is that?" The door opened and Serena kicked Tony in the stomach. The 7 or 8 women rushed in, automatically dividing into 2 groups. 4 women led by Serena surrounded Tony. They started hitting him with their bags. "Damn you, Tony, you're cheating cheating behind my back? Do you even care about me? Tony covered his head and tried to run away. No, honey. I was just confused. Please stop hitting me. I didn't do anything. Didn't do anything, you just didn't get the chance. Serena glanced at Tony's groin and her fury exploded. Are you seriously that shameless, Tony? Look at that thing standing up. She lifted her high-heeled foot and kicked him right in the groin. Aff. Both Peter and I instinctively crossed our legs. That was brutal. Peter couldn't help but gossip. Damn, Tony's still going strong even after all that. Pretty impressive, huh? I sneered. It's not him, it's the blue pill and grapefruit juice working together. The grapefruit juice contains furanocoumarin compounds which inhibit enzyme activity in the liver and intestines. This prevents the body from metabolizing the drug properly, causing its concentration to spike. In other words, this guy's blue pill dosage was doubled, and with the sexual stimulation he was extra hard. Perfect for catching a cheating wife in the act. After hearing that, Peter couldn't help but exclaim, "Never mess with someone who knows medicine." In the video, Tony was writhing on the floor in agony, clutching his legs, his face pale. The blow he just took must have ruptured something. At best, it's a tear. At worst, it's the end of his ability to function as a man. He begged non-stop, "Wife, quick, call 120. I've been kicked too hard, it hurts so much. My manhood." Serena didn't even look at him, continuing to vent her anger on Tony before turning her attention to Haley. Several women had already dragged Haley to the ground by her hair. Slaps rang out. "You slut, seducing men, shameless mistress." I figured it was about time and pulled Peter along. "Let's go, we're going in." Peter seemed excited. "This is the first time I've seen such a big scene." I warned him, "I'll be the one talking. You just film outside the door, don't be surprised by anything I say." Peter and I rushed upstairs. The hallway was packed with people watching the show. Such a commotion. Everyone from the upper and lower floors had gathered in the corridor. Sure enough, a lot of people were filming with their phones. Not sure if anyone was live streaming though. I pushed through the crowd, rushing into the room. Haley's hair was disheveled, her body bruised and battered with scratch marks all over her face. When she saw me, her face turned pale with fear, like a mouse seeing a cat. "Hubby." I rushed straight to her, shoved the two women, holding her hair aside, and wrapped her in my suit jacket. "Wife, what's going on? I got a message saying you're here doing something illegal." Haley's eyes widened and big tears started falling. "Hubby, it's not like you think. I didn't do anything, you have to believe me." I sneered. Even now she was still trying to deceive me. The woman next to me looked at my defensive Haley with disbelief. "You're her husband, this bitch is cheating on you." I slapped her across the face. "Cheating? Do you have evidence?" "My wife, I know her best. She wouldn't do something like this. She must have been forced into it. Where's that dog of a man? Show yourself. I'll fucking chop him up." Tony, still recovering on the floor, looked at me with murderous rage and kept silent. It was his wife who was furious. When I came in, those two shameless sluts were completely naked. What else could it be if not an affair? Are you blind? I glanced at Tony. This scumbag is the one bullying my wife. I grabbed the ashtray from the bedside table, ready to take on Tony, and charged at him. Just then the crowd in the hallway parted and several men in plain clothes rushed in. "Don't move. Police." The police came just in time. I took the opportunity to drop the ashtray. Turning around, I hugged Haley and whispered in her ear, "Wife, don't be afraid. The police are here. You didn't cheat, you were forced. You've been wronged. We'll use the law to protect you. I support you." Haley stuttered, trembling, unable to speak. With her face covered in bloodstains, she truly looked like a woman who had been abused. The police interrogated her and Tony in front of his wife, stubbornly claimed it was their first time meeting and that Haley had seduced him. Haley's face twisted with hatred. She jumped up and shouted, "You're lying. It's him. He tried to rape me." The officer frowned. "Rape is a criminal case. Are you sure?" Haley clung to me, her voice resolute. "I'm sure. He forced me, arrest him and sentence him." Tony panicked. "I didn't touch you. We can do a test, we'll find out." "Don't slander me." It didn't matter whether he touched her today or not. Earlier I had already taken the sperm samples I'd collected over the past few weeks and placed them back on the underwear Haley was wearing today. A test would tell the truth. What was initially a case of infidelity soon escalated into a criminal matter and things got serious. Tony was transferred to the hospital for his injuries. Haley was taken to the police station. Before getting into the car, she tearfully reassured me, Hubby, believe me, I was forced. You won't abandon me, right? Of course not, wife. I'm so sorry for you. We'll make that bastard pay. Haley's eyes flickered, her resolve wavering. I was worried she might turn on me midway. Wife, you didn't really cheat, did you? She quickly shook her head and affirmed, no, I swear. The process of confirming rape is complicated. Although the police obtained surveillance footage and transaction records proving that Tony and Haley already knew each other and had a financial relationship, they couldn't definitively clear Tony. Even if the affair occurred while they were still married and the wife didn't consent, it could still be classified as rape. Haley insisted she was coerced, and with her numerous injuries, it was hard to say whether they were caused by Serena's friends during the Katchenjanthe act or by Tony himself. And they found Tony's sperm on Haley's clothes. So even with his hair pulled out in frustration, it was hard for Tony to change the situation. I pressed my advantage and sued Serena and her friends for intentional harm. I aimed to make their lives difficult. As expected, after a few days, Serena came to see me. We arranged to meet at a tea house. We were both clever people, so I got straight to the point. What do you want? I pulled out my laptop and showed her a short video. Her eyes widened. What's this supposed to mean? I closed the laptop. Miss Serena, my consulting firm specializes in investigating complicated issues and handling difficult situations. If you hire me, I'm confident I can help your husband clear his name. She quickly realized what I wanted, shifting to a businesslike tone. Is your firm expensive? Quite expensive. For a case like your husband's, the investigation fee is $5 million. Her eyes gleamed. Why don't you go rob a bank? He's not worth that much. Even if the case stands, I can just divorce him. I smiled. A scumbag like Tony wasn't worth that much, but a father to a child was another matter. You can divorce him for cheating, but your son is about to take his high school entrance exams. Aren't you worried it will affect his mental and physical health? Serena was stunned. You've investigated my family too. Of course, I wouldn't go into a battle unprepared. Tony's been crippled by your kick. Keeping him around is useless, but he is the father of your child. If he's convicted of rape, he'll face a prison sentence of more than 3 years, but less than 10. While this won't directly affect your child's future, having a father with a criminal record will inevitably have some psychological and social consequences. You may hate Lee Younglee to the bone, but I don't think you joke with your child's mental health and public image. I clearly hit a nerve. She gritted her teeth and said, "You're blackmailing me." "Oh, absolutely not. I'm just talking business. If you hire us to help you, the payment goes through the company's account, nothing to do with me personally. I need to think about it. Take your time, but you don't have much left to consider." The video from the Hilton incident had already been uploaded online by the crowd outside. It had a significant impact on Serena's company's reputation. They were bidding for the property management of a university, but due to the negative publicity, they had already been disqualified. If Tony was convicted, it would harm both his family and his career. So Serena had no choice but to swallow this bitter pill. As for how she would deal with Tony later, that could wait. That evening, Peter called. Serena had signed the contract with the company. "Dude, you're amazing. One move, and it's a big deal. I'll return your share as a bonus later." Once the payment came through, I sent Serena the video from the day of the affair. The video clearly proved that Haley was completely willing and that nothing had actually happened between them. The prosecution withdrew the case on the grounds of changing evidence and no grounds for the accusation. Instead, Haley was charged with false accusation and the evidence was irrefutable. She was sentenced to 14 months in prison. The last time I went to see Haley, my ex-brother-in-law was waiting for me at the door. He immediately tried to get physical. "Damn, my sister really misjudged you. When she got in trouble, you didn't help her, but you screwed her over. You deliberately told her that if she was forced, you'd forgive her, encouraged her to sue Tony, then turned your back and denied everything. You're so vile." I pointed to the security camera on the wall, reminding him, "Think a bit. If you try to throw a punch, I'll send you straight to jail to join your sister." My ex-brother-in-law immediately backed down. When I saw Haley again, she was a completely different person. Her long hair had been cut short, her eyes sunken, and she was so thin that she looked unrecognizable. When she saw me, she became emotional. "Hubby, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Can you forgive me? A year will go by quickly. I'll be out soon and we can start over, okay?" I truly admired how even after everything, she still tried to hold on to me. I remained calm. "I'm here to tell you that I've cleaned up your things and sent them to your parents' house. From now on, we have no relationship. We will never meet again." She stared at me, tears streaming down her face, gripping the railing desperately. "Hubby, please forgive me. I swear I won't do it again." I shook my head. I don't like going back on my decisions. After seeing Haley, I returned to the office to pack my things. Peter came over to gossip. "Dude, I heard Tony's, if he gets surgery in time, he could still save it. But guess what? His wife wouldn't sign the consent form saying she was was worried about the risks. So she just kept observing, and now, well, it's completely ruined. He's lost his manhood. His wife turned around and divorced him, took everything, didn't even leave him another pair of underwear. Now he's working as a doorman over by the theater. And Serena, she's suing Haley again, claiming the money Tony gave her was marital property and must be returned. It was expected, but I didn't feel any happier. After all this, I felt exhausted and found it all meaningless. I took out the resignation letter I'd already prepared and handed it to Peter. I'd been wanting to do this for a long time. Before he could say anything, I immediately spoke first. Bro, I'm really grateful for your help, but you know this isn't the work I want to do. I've hired a new grad with a medical degree from a university. I'll train him personally, so this won't affect the company's business at all. Peter thought for a moment and nodded. All right, I knew I couldn't keep you. Go back to studying for your PhD. You'll make a great doctor. Good luck. I left the company after 3 years with the remaining $4 million from Serena's $5 million consulting fee. I left $1 million for the company. At home, I found it impossible to stay idle. With my background, I couldn't just sit around. Using the first-hand data I had gathered at the consulting firm, I published 2 papers. Analysis of sperm morphology influencing factors, excluding time conditions, and survey on extramarital sexual behavior and condom use in the last 3 years. Both articles had a large sample size and detailed data, making a small ripple in the academic world. I took this opportunity to apply to my graduate advisor for PhD studies. The old professor, nearing 70, still had a sharp mind. When he saw me, he rolled his eyes. Didn't you give up on being a doctor? Why are you writing papers? I lowered my head, too ashamed to speak. I had chosen the more lucrative field years ago for Haley's sake. And not only had I hurt the professor's feelings, but I had also burned out my own passion. But after 3 years of wasted time, I was now clearer about what I truly wanted. I gathered my courage and promised him, Professor, I want to continue with my PhD and become a pathologist. I will dedicate my life to the cause of pathology. Returning to the campus I had left 3 years ago felt like a new beginning. This was the career I loved. This would be the stage where I'd shine in the future. I'm grateful for the 3 lost years. I've finally found myself. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.